Coming to you from SFCS Studio 12, this is Shannon Today.
Good morning, Crusaders. I'm Mrs. Weathers.
And I'm Mrs. Spurgeon. Welcome to this special Teachers Edition of Shannon Today. We're glad to be here to represent all the teachers at Shannon Forest Christian School. It's Wednesday, May 1st, 2013. Here's your news from around the school.
We enjoyed a wonderful time with family and friends this past Friday at the Spring Fling. Here are some pictures from that event.
Unfortunate. You want to go in the bounce house? You want to go down the slide? Oh, you got a winner!
I think they just have it.
Dad, I want to see. Oh, I missed it.
It was 6. Oh, now that we're filming. You have a ticket.
I did. And it was not a ticket.
You said here.
I'm sorry. Well, what it is you have to guess how many there are and whoever gets. This is the entertainment. Entertainment.
Thank all of the volunteers that made Spring Fling possible. A special thanks to Mrs. Stewart for heading up the fun afternoon. There were a couple of contests this year at the Spring Fling, the chili cook-off and the gumball guess. Now we will announce the winners of each.
The winner of the gumball guessing game is 4th grader Madison Johnson. She wins the whole container of gumballs.
The winner of the chili cook-off is 5th grader Jacob Goen. He made a delicious recipe of chili that was loved by many. His prize is a chili bowl trophy and $50 gift certificate to none other than Chili's restaurant. Congratulations to you both.
The 1st and 2nd grade music program called God's World will be held this Friday, May 3rd at 10 o'clock in the church sanctuary.
Field Day is coming up on Friday, May 10th. Our PE teacher, Miss Webb, is planning a lot of fun events for that day. Check with your teacher to find out what color of shirt your team will wear.
Our Lost and Found is still overflowing. Here's Mrs. Bang to show us what needs to find a home.
Parents, teachers, and students, be sure to come to the lunchroom before the end of school to pick up your lost and found items. There's lots of uniforms, coats, shoes, belts, umbrellas that will all be donated to a local charity after the last day of school. So if you're missing something, come by today.
Be sure to check that out. Looking ahead, Step Up Day for the K-5 students will be on Wednesday, May 15th. This is a time for our kindergartners to see what 1st grade is all about.
The 5th graders will have their end of the year party on Friday, May 17th. And the 4th graders will have an afternoon of activities that same day to close out their study of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
For more information on these and other Shannon Forest events, visit our website at shannonforest.com.
let's go to second grade teacher, Mrs. Eaton, for this week's birthdays.
During the month of May, we will announce all of the summer birthdays in addition to the current birthdays. About 25% of the elementary students have birthdays during the summer months. Fifth grader Ava Randall celebrated her birthday yesterday, April 30th. Third grader Jacob Bottano has a birthday Monday, May 27th. First grade teacher Mrs. Spurgeon will celebrate her birthday Tuesday, May 28th. Fourth grader Riley Watkins has a birthday Thursday, May 30th. Fourth grader Grace Rothman will celebrate her birthday Friday, May 31st. Third grader Tiara Davis will have a birthday Sunday, June 2nd. Third grader Liam Armfield has a birthday Wednesday, June 5th. Fourth grader Abigail Wadrup will celebrate her birthday Sunday, June 9th. Fourth grader Bella Smith turns a year older Tuesday, June 11th. First grader Claire Butcher has a birthday Wednesday, June 12th. And second grader Nolan Paladuku and fourth grader Ryan Doty will celebrate their birthday Saturday, June 15th. Happy birthday!
Thanks, Mrs. Eaton, for that report on the birthdays. We sure have a lot of summer babies. Now, let's go to our librarian, Mrs. Cruz, for a look at the weather on Wednesday.
We've had some very pleasant temperatures recently. We've also had a lot of rain. Rain chances continue through the rest of this week and into the weekend. The high today will be 72 degrees with a low of 56. It looks like the next few days will have highs in the upper 60s and lows in the lower 50s. Maybe we'll clear out some next week. In the meantime, play outside every chance you get and enjoy the wonderful spring God gave us. That's your weather on Wednesday. I'm Mrs. Cruz. Now back to you.
Thanks, Mrs. Cruz, for that report. Now it's time to find out about this week's Super 7 students. Here's second grade teacher, Mrs. Kessler, to let us know who we will take our hats off to.
It's time for Shannon Super 7. This week's honored students are first grader Connor Flanagan, third grader Paige Harris, sixth grader Noah Rothman, third grader Jamison White, third grader Morgan Weiner, third grader David Metters, and fifth grader Virginia Sheely. These students may stop by the lower school office sometime today to get a special prize. Hats off to you all!
Hats off to you!
Thanks for coming in, Mrs. Kessler. It was great to see you. Remember to go by the lower school office to get your prize. Now let's go to fifth grade teacher Mrs. Tate and third grade teacher Mrs. Garrigan for the joke of the week.
Mrs. Garrigan, you want to hear a funny joke? I would love to hear a funny joke. Why did the teacher wear sunglasses?
I don't know, Mrs. Tate. Why did the teacher wear sunglasses?
Because her class was so bright.
That was funny.
Now let's check in with fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Steins, for the latest on all of our Shannon teams.
Our spring sports schedule is pretty full right now. We've had a number of games postponed over the past few weeks due to weather issues that are having to be made up now. Our track team has had several members qualify for state. The middle school soccer team played Mitchell Road yesterday and has CMSC tournament games next week. The middle school baseball team plays its final game of the season today against the Asheville Trailblazers. The middle school tennis team plays its match this Friday against Greenville Country Club. Our varsity soccer team played Rabun Gap in a conference game yesterday. Our varsity baseball team and softball team are back in action today with games against Rabun Gap at home. The varsity golf team had a match at Verde Greens yesterday. That's our sports report for today. I'm Mrs. Steins. Now back to you. Go Crusaders!
Mrs. Steins. It's time to fire up your brain. Here is 3rd grade teacher, Miss Cook, 1st grade teacher, Mrs. Samuelson, and 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Souls, with some fun and interesting facts.
Did you know that there's not always been a summer break from school for kids? In the early 1800s, kids went to school 11 months of the year. In rural areas, that's the places outside of the cities and towns, some kids did get long spring and fall breaks, but they spent it planting and in the fields and harvesting. Only about 30% of the kids even went to school at all because they were so busy helping around the house. Today, by law, kids are required to go to school. Because the United States Constitution doesn't mention education, each state decides the age children will start school and how many days they will attend. South Carolina states 180 days of school each year. It's a wonderful privilege to be able to get an education. I'm happy and thankful to be part of that system, and happy and thankful for summer break.
I love ice cream. Did you know that Americans eat more ice cream than any other country in the entire world? In 1984, President Ronald Reagan even named July as National Ice Cream Month. Vanilla is the most popular flavor, with chocolate right behind. But there are some other pretty unusual flavors, such as avocado, sweet summer corn, and chocolate-covered bacon. I don't know about those though. It takes about 12 gallons of milk to make 1 gallon of ice cream. If you love ice cream like I do, the next time you see a dairy cow, say thank you. I think I'm gonna have some ice cream right now.
Did you know that tomorrow, May 2nd, is the National Day of Prayer? On April 17, 1952, President Harry S. Truman signed into law that the first Thursday in May would be set aside as a day for people to pray for our country, our leaders, and each other. But designating a day for prayer really goes back to a Continental Congress proclamation in 1775 that encouraged everyone to stop a few minutes and pray as well. The theme for this year's National Day of Prayer is Pray for America. It is based on Matthew 12, verse 21, which says, "In His name, the nations will put their hope." So tomorrow, take some time to pray for our country and its leaders, and thank God for all of our many blessings.
Thanks, ladies. We will observe the National Day of Prayer tomorrow morning at 8:30 by having a time of prayer around the lower school flagpole located near the drop-off circle. We'll see you at the pole.
Now let's check in with the Wallace family to see what's going on this week.
Hi, sweetie. How was your day at school?
Ugh, my teacher is such a crank.
Mrs. Pencil, a crank. Well, that can't be. Just what happened?
She made us all walk a bunch of laps, and then she made us write a note to Mrs. Muller while everyone else got to do a special project.
Well, she must have had a good reason. What kind of choices were you making?
We weren't doing anything, just talking a little.
A little? Don't you mean a lot and loud? While the music was playing?
Son! Okay, yes, we were talking while the music was playing, but we were trying to divide our group into teams before recess. It wastes time to wait until we are outside.
What about all the trash?
Son.
Well, we got distracted by our conversation, and we left a few things on the table.
A few things? There were milk cartons, chip bags, and even an apple core on the table, and spoons and straw wrappers on the floor. Mrs. Muller had to clean it all up.
Son, is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you need to tell your teacher, Mrs. Pencil. Thank you.
Thank Mrs. Pencil? What does that have to do with anything?
Mrs. Pencil was right to require the laps of you, and she was right to give you time out of the project. Because Proverbs 13:24 says, "He who does not punish his son hates his son, but he who loves him is careful to discipline him."
You see, son, when a parent or teacher gives you laps, time out, or even a spanking, it is an act of love. We don't want you to keep sinning against God and others.
I was rude at lunch today, and I don't want to tempt my friends to do so bad. And I feel badly about Mrs. Muller. I think I'll go upstairs right now and write a little note to Mrs. Spencer.
First, let's pray together. Dear Lord, thank you for your word and what it teaches. Help us to obey the rules with joy and help us to be thankful to the adults who love us enough to correct us when we make wrong decisions. Thank you for all the loving teachers at Shannon Forest, and thank you for your son, Jesus.
There are a lot of people around our school who follow the teachings of Jesus by helping others around them. Today we'll hear from art teacher Mrs. Mendola. She is part of a small group at her church, the First Presbyterian Church in downtown Greenville, that helps people in need.
Well, part of being a Christian is following the example that Jesus gave us to love each other as he loved us. And I belong to a big church, but the nice thing about belonging to a church is forming small groups. So my small group, we try to find help to families in need. And some other things that our small group does is we provide help to a local public school in need. And we before the school started, we packed backpacks and we brought them to the church, to the school, and that was something nice for for children that probably couldn't afford to get the materials they need for school. So that. We also provide support for missionaries. Right now we have a big group that's going to the Dominican Republic, and we usually choose a member from that group and we pray for them. That's very important, and also collect funds to support their mission there. And this one particular family that we're helping right now really touched me, because last year we had a fun activity where it was right before the summer. We were having a picnic, and I met this woman, and she was telling me that her husband was leaving for Afghanistan, and she has 2 little daughters. And I just thought, wow, being away from your husband and handling 2 kids at the same time, and I just thought that was like a full plate. I don't know how I would have dealt with it. As we were thinking about ways to help families, she came up again, and she had cancer. And one of the things that came to my mind was, okay, so this lady is all by herself with 2 kids, and now she has cancer. And it made me feel so, it touched my heart. And we are helping her with meals for every week, and also the men in our group are doing the yard work for her. So that is a way that we can help out just on everyday needs. Of course, there are other needs that might not be met, but she's been very thankful for us helping. And it just brings to mind that you never know what people are going through, but being a Christian is a great way to help each other. And I think that's a great example that God gave us to love each other. And if that's something that you can do in your church, I'm sure you should take advantage of that and take the opportunity, because you never know who you're going to be helping and who you're going to meet in life. So I think that's a great thing to do as a Christian, to help each other.
Thanks, Mrs. Mendola, for all you do. If you know of someone in our school who makes a difference in others' lives through their actions, please let Mrs. Sellers know.
On behalf of the teachers at Shannon Forest, we want to thank you for the opportunity to be on Shannon Today. The money raised for the teacher contest bought 52 Bibles for the children of Costa Rica.
The Shannon seniors delivered them last week to kids in a refugee camp and to a church where their host families live. Thank you again for your donations. You are helping to change the hearts for Christ.
That's our show for today. Thank you for joining us for this special Teachers Edition of Shannon Today. There are only 3 editions of our show left this season. Have a wonderful day.
Remember to always try your best and do everything in a way that brings glory and honor to God. Have a great week. Bye.
I like Miss Samuelson because she lets us do work with partners. I really like Miss Kessler because she is a nice teacher
and she does really fun stuff with us.
Miss Cruz is my favorite teacher because she reads me my favorite books.
Miss Spurgeon is my favorite teacher.
Miss Turner, she fixes my food if I order something, and if I go to late stay, she takes care of us and tells us what to do so we don't get in trouble.
I love Miss Neely because sometimes in the morning she gives us a hug and says hi to us.
Mrs. Henderson is really nice because sometimes she gives us extra recess.
Mrs. Soul, she's really good at math and she's a good teacher.
I like Miss Garrigan because she is nice and caring.
I like Miss Eaton because she teaches me a lot.
I like Miss Mendola because she's artsy and she can draw really well.
Miss Horn is an excellent teacher because she helped me with math last year. I think Miss Steins is a great teacher because we get to play lots of fun games.
Miss Cook has been a really good teacher. She's so nice.
Mrs. Tate is really nice, and if we ever have a problem with anything, she's always there to help us.
Thank you, Miss Bain, for taking care of us if we are sick or hurt.
I like Miss Webb because she lets us ride scooters and do really fun stuff.
I like Miss Withers because she's putting our program together.
I like Miss Sellers because when she reads books to us in Ignite, she makes it very clear and gives good expression, and she does that with all our lessons and stuff like that.
What I like about Miss James is that she always has the time to come outside during the morning and help everyone get out of their cars when school starts. I like Miss Abella because she teaches us words like hola.
Thank you, Miss Mueller, for everything you do to help us and for preparing our foods for lunch.
Miss Jacob's done a great job as a substitute teacher for us. I really like how she gives us extra time and makes sure we finish things.